At the beginning of the movie, we see Danish soldiers returning home after the war. Denmark has been freed from 5 years of German occupation. Sergeant Karl notices a soldier carrying the Danish flag and starts beating him because he believes the Germans have already looted enough. Karl hates the Germans. He takes the flag and goes to the western post, where the Germans have planted landmines all over the beach. He uses the flag to mark the area. Meanwhile, a group of German soldiers, who have been captured after the war, are being transported in a truck. They are taken to British Commander Jensen, who tells them that nobody likes the Germans and that they will receive no sympathy. He informs them that they must follow orders from now on. Jensen explains that the Germans have buried around 2.2 million landmines along the coast, and these prisoners will be used to remove them. However, none of the German soldiers know how to defuse mines. Jensen gives them training on how to safely defuse the mines and warns them that even a small mistake can cost them their lives. One by one, the soldiers are sent in to practice defusing a mine. Most of them succeed, but one soldier gets very nervous. His hands start shaking, and suddenly, there is a loud explosion. He dies instantly. Seeing this, the other soldiers become terrified. The soldiers who pass the test are sent to the beach to remove landmines under Sergeant Karl's supervision. Karl treats them harshly. Among the soldiers, there are 2 young twin brothers. Despite their age, Karl shows no mercy. He takes the soldiers to the coastline and informs them that there are 4,500 mines buried on the beach. They must remove them all before they can go home. He tells them that if they remove 6 mines per hour, the beach will be cleared in 3 months. He also warns them that if anyone tries to escape, they will be severely punished. The soldiers start searching for the mines and carefully defuse them. By the evening, they are exhausted. They gather grass in sacks to make beds and sleep in a small house. Karl locks them inside while he sleeps in a nearby house with his dog. The next morning, they continue working. However, they have not eaten for 2 days, making their work even harder. After finishing the day's work, one of the soldiers, Sebastian, approaches Karl and asks why they haven't received any food. Karl doesn't care and tells them that their job is to follow orders, whether they live or die. Later, the twin brothers, Helmut and Werner, see a little girl playing with her doll. Helmut goes near her, plays with her, and secretly steals some food. The 2 brothers share the stolen food. As the sun sets, Karl sends the soldiers inside to sleep. That night, one soldier sneaks out to look for food. The next morning, while working, one of the twins starts feeling sick. The soldiers ask Karl for some rest, but he refuses and orders them to keep working. Helmut lets his brother rest and does his work for him. Suddenly, another soldier also falls sick. While defusing a mine, he vomits on it. The mine explodes, seriously injuring him. His hands are completely destroyed. Sebastian and Helmut carry him to Karl, who gives him an injection to make him sleep and sends him to the base camp for treatment. The wounded soldier keeps crying, saying that his mother is waiting for him at home. One by one, more soldiers start falling sick. They suffer from stomach pain and vomiting. A soldier confesses to Karl that it was his fault. The previous night, he had stolen food from a neighboring house, and they all ate it. Karl goes to meet the woman living in that house. She tells him that she has no food on her farm and that the soldiers must have eaten food meant for the rats. That is why they are sick. Karl makes all the soldiers drink seawater to vomit the poison out of their system. He also makes them bathe in fresh water to clean themselves. However, one soldier, Soren, is fine because he did not eat the poisoned food. The next day, one of the soldiers shows Karl a wooden tool that could help them detect landmines more easily and reduce the risk of explosions. However, instead of appreciating the idea, Karl scolds him and sends him back inside. The following morning, Karl visits the base camp to check on the injured soldier, William. The nurse informs him that they couldn't save William, he died the previous night. After hearing this, Karl secretly steals some food from the camp and puts it in his car. However, Captain Jensen catches him. Karl then returns to the beach and gives the food to the German soldiers. The starving children finally eat after days of hunger. Karl tells them he has two pieces of news, one good and one bad. The good news is that William is fine and will soon be sent home. The bad news is that they are behind schedule, so now they must defuse 8 mines per hour instead of 6. In reality, Karl lies about William being alive to keep their morale high so they can finish their work and return home quickly. That night, while the soldiers are sleeping, Captain Jensen arrives at the beach with British soldiers. They begin mistreating the German prisoners, punishing them for stealing food. Some British soldiers behave cruelly and try to humiliate them. Karl arrives and stops them, saying that he needs the soldiers to clean up the coast. Jensen confronts Karl about stealing food from the British kitchen to feed the Germans, saying they don't deserve it. Karl argues that these soldiers are just kids, if they don't eat, they won't be able to work. He lies and says he actually took the food for his dog. Then Karl insists that he needs more experienced people to clear the landmines. The next day, while working, one of the soldiers, Sebastian, notices that 2 mines are connected. He shouts to warn the others not to remove them. However, due to strong winds, Werner doesn't hear the warning. He pulls out a mine, triggering a massive explosion. Werner, one of the twin brothers, is killed instantly. Seeing his brother die, Helmut loses control. He desperately searches for him, but there is no trace of Werner left after the explosion. The other soldiers take Helmut to Karl, who injects him with a sedative to put him to sleep. However, Helmut is deeply traumatized. He keeps going to the beach, hoping to find his brother. Karl does his best to calm him down and make him sleep. Later, Karl sees Sebastian sitting alone on a hill. He approaches him and confesses that he lied about William being alive. In reality, William died in the accident. Sebastian replies that he already knew. He understood that Karl lied because he wanted them to finish clearing the beach and go home. Karl, who once hated the German boys, now starts feeling attached to them. He goes back to the base camp to get more food for them. This time, he also brings a football. The soldiers happily play with the ball, laughing and having fun. Even Karl joins them. However, Helmut does not participate. He still grieves for his brother and prefers to stay alone. At this time, 2 more Nazi soldiers arrive, sent by Jensen to join the unit. While returning from the football game, Karl throws the ball far away. His dog runs to fetch it, but suddenly, there is an explosion. The dog is killed. Karl is devastated and furious. According to the map, that area was supposed to be clear of mines. He immediately gathers all the soldiers in a line. The responsibility for that area belonged to Ludwig. Ludwig insists that he counted the mines correctly, but Karl doesn't believe him. As punishment, Karl makes Ludwig crawl on the ground like a dog. Karl angrily says he was wrong to trust them. To ensure that no mines remain, he forces all the soldiers to march across the beach. If any mines are left, they will explode. The German soldiers march across the entire beach, but luckily, no mines detonate. They all survive. However, after this death march, Helmut becomes furious. He tells the others that he does not trust the British at all. He believes they will never let them go home. He suggests escaping. But another soldier convinces him that Karl will only release them once all the mines are cleared. Sebastian warns him that if they try to escape, Karl will kill them. The others agree, and they stop Helmut from running away. The next morning, a little girl accidentally wanders into the minefield while playing with her doll. Her mother runs to Karl for help, but he is not there. Desperate, she takes the German soldiers to the beach, where they see the girl playing. When Karl returns, he notices that the soldiers are missing. Helmut informs him that they went to the beach. Karl rushes there immediately. Sebastian starts carefully defusing the mines to reach the girl. Meanwhile, Helmut, without fear, begins walking toward her. Karl tries to stop him, but Helmut ignores him. Helmut reaches the little girl and keeps her distracted by playing with her. Meanwhile, Sebastian clears the remaining mines. Helmut then hands the girl to Sebastian, ensuring she is safe. However, he himself does not return. Ever since his brother's death, Helmut has felt completely alone. Instead of coming back, Helmut walks deeper into the minefield. Everyone desperately tries to stop him, but he refuses to listen. Suddenly, there is a loud explosion. Helmut is killed. After this incident, Sebastian was completely broken. Seeing him in despair, Karl approached him and encouraged him, saying, "The team needs you. I believe that one day, you all will definitely make it home." However, Karl himself was deeply troubled. He knew that although Germany had been their enemy, these young soldiers were just children. They had no real understanding of what they were doing. The next day, 4 of the boys were seen clearing the beach while some soldiers were loading the defused landmines onto a truck. However, they were unaware that one of the mines had not been completely disarmed. Suddenly, a massive explosion occurred. The entire truckload of landmines detonated at once, killing the German soldiers instantly. Hearing the deafening blast, Karl and the remaining German boys rushed toward the truck. But there was nothing left, no trace of any soldier had survived the explosion. After this tragedy, Karl took the 4 remaining boys and brought them back. He placed them in a truck, intending to send them home. Then, Karl went to the base camp to meet Jensen. He requested more experienced soldiers for the job. However, Jensen already knew about Karl's actions. He immediately stopped the truck and ordered the boys to return. Jensen sternly said, "No German can go home until all the beaches are completely cleared of landmines." Karl tried his best to convince him that these 4 were just children, but Jensen refused to listen. Frustrated and angry, Karl stormed off. Meanwhile, the 4 boys were once again sent to the beach to clear the landmines under Jensen's orders. At that moment, one of the officers at the camp received a letter from Karl. After reading it, he ordered that the 4 boys be taken back and put on the truck again to be sent away. Karl later took them out of the truck and told them, "The German border is 500 meters from here. Once you cross it, you will be free." Hearing this, the 4 children ran away as fast as they could toward home. Watching them leave safely, Karl felt immense relief and happiness. And with this, the movie came to an end.